Welcome back, everybody. This is the start of Unit 3. We begin with the video, The Conservative Movement Surges. Vocabulary for the day, very politically driven, liberals, conservatives, and the new right. Read to understand and then continue with the video. One of the key ideas behind today's video is the divergence of the liberals and the conservatives, and that's what we'll see next. To begin, just to make sure we're all on the same page, liberals, normally we see liberals on the left and then it's conservatives on the right. So if you are on the left, then you are normally a member of the Democratic Party, and conservatives on the right, normally you are in the United States part of the Republican Party. In the late 1970s, liberals certainly at this point believe government should play an active role in improving people's lives. And this is something that has been building ever since the Great Depression with FDR's New Deal reforms, government getting involved, spending money, and then it continues with Truman's Fair Deal. We get LBJ's Great Society, money being poured in by the government on things such as social programs. The right, conservatives, and the Republican Party, they start to push the other direction as liberals grab a hold of this idea of government being very active. Conservatives are taking the opposite approach. They believe that the central government or the federal government is becoming too large, is becoming too involved in people's lives, and it's certainly in an economic sense creating problems. One of the things that they feel it hinders or gets in the way of is individual choice of the people. So, because of that, we see some new ideas, or really ideas that come into sharp focus during the this conservative surgence. Um, Ideas such as reducing taxes and limiting government regulation. As the United States exits the 1970s and enters into the 1980s, what you see here is an array of liberal viewpoints and where the Democratic Party stands, where the left stands on a number of issues. And what's important to note here is that as the United States enters into the 1980s, a number of people and society on a large level is tired of some of the liberal viewpoints or standpoints, and we see this in the election of 1980. For a long time, the Democratic Party, the left, had a big time control over the presidency and was very much at the heart and center of politics in the United States. Going back to FDR, who was elected 4 different times. Harry Truman was elected after him, both Democrats. Then JFK, Lyndon B. Johnson, all Democrats, and on the left, even Jimmy Carter in the 1970s, on the left, and um, a liberal agenda. In 1968, though, the party starts to kind of fall apart. The Democratic National Convention has issues. There are a number of people that leave the party at that time. But at the same rate, you have people that have had enough of spending money and raising taxes to spend money on social programs, policies of Nixon, even policies of Nixon and Ford, such as detente, which are then adopted by the likes of Jimmy Carter. Society is tired, is moving on from these opinions, and it is it's a push. It's an increase in the interest of what the conservatives have to offer. If we shift our focus to religion, conservatives and religion are starting to mend into one, or a formidable um, partnership. Roe v. Wade, the legalization of abortions, and then Engel v. Vitale. This court case forbade prayer in school. Uh, those court cases, other things such as the rise of televangelists, um, they bring in a number of new supporters for the Republican Party and conservatives. So this new way, the religious right, the religious attachment that the conservatives now have and are gaining, and really that we have seen ever since, is providing a lot of new voters for the Republican Party. On top of that, migration into the suburbs that started in the 1950s and has only continued into the 1980s. This also is bringing new voters to the Republican Party, to the conservatives. Republicans have shifted their focus to state rights, but at the same rate, those moving to the suburbs are very interested in what the Republican Party has to offer, such as lower taxes. All of this eventually takes us to the election of 1980, where Ronald Reagan is challenging Democrat and sitting president Jimmy Carter. And as you can see from the map on screen, Ronald Reagan takes the electoral vote really handily, which goes to say something about the lack of faith in Jimmy Carter that people had. Currently, at the time of the election, the Iran hostage situation is um, uh, is ongoing, and Jimmy Carter had not been able to solve that yet, and he will not be the president that solves it. Inflation is still a major issue. The Soviet Union has advanced into Afghanistan. So if we think about the big Cold War picture, the Soviet Union is advancing in another realm of another region of the world. As for Ronald Reagan, what's his background? Where did he come from? He was an actor in the 1950s, if I'm not mistaken, and had been governor of California for a couple of terms. He is known as the great communicator, and in many ways, he was a really good orator and drew people in that way. And ultimately, with the results of the election that you see in front of you, society was moving away from liberalism and toward this new Republican Party that was now headed by Ronald Reagan. That's it for today. We'll see you next time.